Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. Hi everyone. So, SpongeBob SquarePants has been on for a while. It's been on TV since 1999 and has had, I believe, 10 seasons. Yeah, the seasons are weird. They are broken up over years or something. But anyway, it's been on for a while. But that wasn't always going to be the case. There was going to be a movie in 2004 that was going to wrap it up nicely. And it was supposed to be the end of the series. That didn't happen. Similar to The Simpsons, SpongeBob is going on strong to the point many people wonder whether it will ever be at the level it was before. But if the movie is supposed to be the end of the classic era of SpongeBob and is seen as the canon end of this series, does it really hold value for that? Let's find out. So, SpongeBob is disappointed after he gets denied a job at the Krusty Krab to his manager, and it's given to Squidward instead, which is because SpongeBob is a kid, and that means that Mr. Krabs doesn't take him seriously. You have to be a man to be a manager or be called kidager. Apparently, Mr. Krabs forgets that Squidward always complains, falls asleep at the register, and burns someone's shake. Yeah. Perfect manager material. But, of course, with SpongeBob, we need unbelievable premises and very dumb logic that doesn't even make sense to the whole series to start off our plot. And then Plankton works on his evil plan Z. Oh, if any of you evil geniuses out there are feeling frustrated that your plans aren't working, be glad you don't forget the last letter of the alphabet, by the way. SpongeBob is known for its unbelievable humor, and oh boy, this movie really delivers on that. So you really have to be willing to turn your brain off for this movie, which is just like SpongeBob is. Turn off your brain and laugh. So, Plankton steals Neptune's crown, frames Krabs, then Krabs gets frozen. Yeah. And now SpongeBob and Patrick have to find that crown and restore it before 6 days come and Krabs gets fried. Meanwhile, Plankton makes Krabby Patties and puts the whole town under his control. So, this movie, even though there are some plot points early on in the film that are ridiculous, even by SpongeBob standards, and have some of the main characters acting even stupider than usual for the sake of the plot, there are some great things here for the story too. The stakes are much higher in this movie than they were on the show. The worst thing that usually happens on early episodes of SpongeBob is the idea of the Krabby Patty secret formula being stolen. But now all of Bikini Bottom is at risk, which is a major difference. The only episode I can think of before the movie that would be the case for might have been the one with the worm, the bullworm. But even that isn't to the level of this, since they can't just push it somewhere else when Plankton's controlling them all. So, like a good movie should, the stakes are a lot higher for this movie, and the whole town is in danger, which really cements SpongeBob's role as a hero. And we have some nice ties into mythology. We have the Cyclops from the Odyssey being like a diver that runs Shovel City, which turns out to, oops, no spoilers. But let's just say that's another very clever way of getting around the sea creature ways, and is a nice twist. Another good thing with this film is another reference, Bag of Winds, again like the Odyssey. So a couple of mythological allusions are really nice for this movie, and I can really appreciate that. And there are some good action sequences, some chase scenes, the scene in the bar with all the thugs, the thug tug, I believe. And then we have a good message about being a kid and how that doesn't mean you can't do anything a grown up can. SpongeBob really isn't that much different than he is from the beginning of the film, which some people could find annoying, but it works for an idea of finding something inside yourself and being able to prove people wrong. But we'll get more into that for characters. As it is, the movie works well as an action-packed film with plenty of laughs and really does bring what the series is known for. The animation is also noticeably better, as a film version of a cartoon should be, but it still maintains its look, and these are very recognizable characters. And there are a lot of great designs we have here, particularly of some creatures that SpongeBob and Patrick come across, as well as the idea of mixing in live action, which is done really well here, especially when SpongeBob and Patrick find their way back to Bikini Bottom with a help of a guest star. And the other times of this during the Cyclops scene, yeah, and the effects are really handled well. So this one definitely does have a certain cartoony animation, but it works for this movie. Anything better than it is would not have worked for a SpongeBob movie, because we need the same look, but at the same time we need to show that we're making more effort for a theatrical release, which the movie delivers on. Finally, on to the characters. SpongeBob is always a lovable, if naive character, if he's being written properly. I'm not getting into newer seasons, but he's what the character is known for in this movie. Gullible, innocent, good-hearted, fun-loving, but also responsible when he needs to be. And the fact that he really deserved this job that he didn't get because he's not mature. And yeah, I can definitely see that being a major problem for him. And we do see him go into some very serious depression later in the movie, around the part where they're at Goofy Goobers. And the idea of him being surrounded by his favorite things for a time until Patrick convinces him to eat too much ice cream. And the fact that he goes into it, into gluttony, to try to, well, the equivalence of alcohol taking over after depression. So it is sad to see a beloved character this depressed, but it works well here. He doesn't really have much of a character arc and growing in this, so much as finding acceptance for himself, similarly to other characters, but it's very subtle, and they do kind of make fun of the, you have you've always wanted what you really have message. What you already had is what you really wanted all along. Which is brilliantly lampshaded at the end. But at the same time, there are some words of truth to the line that's given there. And that makes for some good comedy. And now on to Patrick. Patrick has become one of many people's least favorite characters in later SpongeBob. He's become malicious and annoying, but when we were at the time of this film, he was funny, dumb, but still very loyal to SpongeBob. He was capable of a lot of damage at times, but his heart was in the right place back then. And he is a good sidekick to SpongeBob in this one. There isn't much he really does in it, and he's really there for, well, the role of SpongeBob's best friend, so of course he has to have a large role in this movie. But at the same time, he does bring a lot of comedy to it, just like Patrick usually does. Then there's Squidward, who doesn't have a lot of here, but we do see some other sides from, particularly around the end, and actually some nice moments to SpongeBob. But as always, his grumpy attitude does bring a lot of comedy to the movie. Then there's Mr. Krabs, who isn't at his absolute worst here, like he has been often. I mean, there are a couple of moments that imply that he's ripping people off to get to the ceremony, maybe even charging Sandy more. Unless you want to believe that he charged Mrs. Pavlov because he likes her, which is also believable. And of course, the dumb idea of giving Squidward the Krusty Krab. But at the same time, all of this is very believable for Krabs, considering that he makes the business choices that'll give him pennies, but doesn't really think it over. But at the same time, he does have the same caring side to SpongeBob he used to have in the early seasons. And then there's Plankton, who's always a fun villain. And here, since the stakes are raised, his villainy is also raised. Usually, he goes for something that's more petty theft or over the top. But here, he's controlling people and even was going to have SpongeBob and Patrick killed. So definitely a lot darker here, but at the same time, his trademark comedy is still there. Of course, recently, we're feeling more sorry for him, but in this movie, he's still a delightful villain. A lot of the other Bikini Bottom characters really don't get that much. Sandy only has one line, as well as Mrs. Puff. And then we have our new characters. Starting with Mindy, she's a mermaid that is more compassionate than her father, King Neptune, and she's one of the few allies that SpongeBob and Patrick come across, and really teaches them the moral, even if it is done through other ways and trying to initially make them think they have what they really need and want. But she is a very compassionate character, and I really do like her. I kind of wish she could have been in more of the movie to establish more beyond just her understanding nature. Then there's King Neptune, who's voiced by Jeffrey Tambor and is given just so much comedy, and he is the exact opposite of his daughter. He is completely ridiculous with his punishments and really harsh. He's probably executed so many people for the dumbest things, and just for polishing the crown polisher's job, touching the crown, he thinks to send him to the dungeon for decades. Really. and have a sign executed. But at the same time, he's so funny, and his insistence that he's thinning, not really bald, makes for some good comedy. Then there's Dennis. Ooh boy. He definitely adds a real dark element and real element of danger to SpongeBob and Patrick, and the fact that he isn't very easily stopped, even when you're sure he is. And even before we find him going after Patrick and SpongeBob, we see him attacking some of the minor characters they come across, even the tough ones, that really cement how dangerous he really is. The characters all are who they are from the show, and the new ones really do bring a lot to the movie. So the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is exactly what you expect from a SpongeBob movie. Goofy characters and a dumb but still fun plot. So it's exactly what you expected, and if that's what you want, you're going to have a great time. It definitely is one of the greatest parts of SpongeBob history, and I will say that even though there are some good things that happened after the first movie, like the second movie, and some other great episodes, this would have been a really nice place to stop, and had a great idea that I really could accept as the real ending of the series. So as always, if you have an animated film you want me to review in the comment section below, share with me and your other goofy goopers, yeah. And until then, see you later.